This episode is about the murder of a delivery driver in Shrewsbury who was from Smethwick, and two men who were involved in his murder fled the country to Austria and were arrested in 2024. Sponsored by Maurice Andrews Solicitors, Birmingham. Get in touch today for your legal representation. Today on the 31st of March, they have been found guilty of murdering DPD driver Aurman Singh, and he was 23 years old and lived in Smethwick, and he died when he was set up and attacked while he was doing his deliveries in Shrewsbury by a group of men, each armed with weapons that included an axe, a golf club and piece of wood. Camera footage from the moment where they fled the scene showed they wasn't taking any items, so I don't believe that this was a robbery, even though somebody that has been convicted of manslaughter was responsible for telling them his route on that day. He worked for DPD and he lived in Peterborough. Mahakdeep Singh, 24 years old, and Shihaj Singh, 26 years old, from Tipton in the West Midlands, were both found guilty of murder by a jury after a 3-week trial at Stafford Crown Court. They'll be sentenced on the 11th of April. The court was told during the trial how the attack happened in broad daylight on the 21st of August 2023 as Aurman Singh made the delivery in Berwick Avenue in Coton Hill. His injuries were so severe that he had no chance of surviving and he was pronounced dead at the scene. The suspects fled in a Mercedes-Benz and a grey Audi before discarding some of the weapons. They included a hockey stick and also a shovel in nearby Herbert Way. A police helicopter actually filmed them disposing of the axe as well, rummaging through the boot of the vehicle and actually disposing of evidence. The Mercedes which Mahakdeep and Shihaj travelled in was later found dumped in Shrewsbury, and the two men called a taxi and went to the nearby railway station and travelled to Wolverhampton. Shortly after, they would leave the country and end up in Austria, where they would later be arrested. Following an investigation by West Mercia Police, they was able to locate them on May the 20th, 2024, and they were later charged with Aurman's murder. Detective Inspector Mark Bellamy, who led the investigation, says, "I'm pleased with today's verdict and nearly 2 years after the murder of Aurman, and it was a violent and calculated attack. Shihaj Mahakdeep and the other 6 men that carried out the attack in broad daylight in a quiet street had one intention, and that was to kill him. They got inside information about his delivery route and they lay in wait for him with an arsenal of weapons, and he had no defence against the attack. It was a very complex investigation," the police said, "and it saw us work with many forces across the country and also abroad." Sukhmandeep Singh, 24 years old, from Peterborough, was convicted of manslaughter and jailed for 10 years for his role in giving the group information on the delivery route. The other men that were convicted was Arshdeep Singh, Jagdeep Singh, Shivdeep Singh, Manjot Singh, and of course Sukhmandeep. They were jailed each for 28 years to serve, so this is what these two that have just been convicted will be looking for as well, around that same mark, around 28 to 30 years for this brutal murder where the motive is still not very clear. Even though there was a lot of preparation to it during the trial, it speaks about the way that they was preparing, gathering weapons. There was caught on CCTV going to the location and getting petrol in order to be able to ambush Singh and attack him so viciously. So really look forward to hearing what viewers have to say on this story, and rest in peace to Aurman Singh. And don't forget to follow on social media as well at Scarcity Studios to stay up to date with the latest news. Staying in the West Midlands for this other update about a murder that took place in Oldbury, Sandwell last year. I went to the scene of the murder of 13-year-old Josiah Ko. He was stabbed to death on the 29th of August at an address in Oldbury. Despite the best efforts of paramedics, Josiah's wounds were so severe he was declared dead at the scene. 2 days later, police arrested 2 teenage boys from an address in the West Midlands, and they was consequently charged in relation to Josiah's death. A man in his 40s was also charged with assisting an offender, and today at Wolverhampton Crown Court, a teenage boy was found guilty of his murder and he will be sentenced in June. The man in his 40s was found not guilty of assisting an offender, and the case against the second teenage boy was discontinued. Detective Inspector Nick Barnes from the Homicide Unit said, "This is a sad and tragic incident where a young boy has lost his life, and his thoughts go to Josiah's family and loved ones." ones. There are several reporting restrictions in place on this case, so certain details cannot be publicly released. So what that means is there's some elements of this investigation that they will listen to in court. The newspapers will be able to hear this said in court, but certain things they will not be able to reveal. From what I can make out, it seems the person that's been convicted, they're not willing to name them yet. They're not even saying their age and where they're from. So these sorts of information should come out after the sentencing, but at the same time they may never come out because reporting restrictions are put in place to protect people that may be affected by the knowledge of these certain elements of the case. I know a lot of people have speculated on who they believe is responsible, but please try to refrain from doing so in the comments to allow this sentencing to go through and justice to be done. And I want to send my condolences to Josiah's family and friends, and please pay respects in the comments. I'll be back again very shortly with some more news. Please don't forget to send your stories to scarcitystudios@gmail.com and also follow on social media at Scarcity Studios. And we'll be back again very shortly with some more news.